The Book of the Dead by Muriel Rukeyser. The Road. These are roads to take when you think of your country, and interested, bring down the maps again, phoning the statistician, asking the dear friend, reading the papers with morning inquiry, or when you sit at the wheel and your small light chooses gas gauge and clock, and the headlights indicate future of road, your wish pursuing past the junction, the fork, the suburban station, well-traveled six-lane highway planned for safety. Past your tall central city's influence, outside its body, traffic, penumbral crowds are centers removed and strong, fighting for good reason. These roads will take you into your own country. Select the mountains, follow rivers back, travel the passes, touch West Virginia, where the Midland Trail leaves the Virginia Furnace, Iron Clifton Forge, Covington Iron goes down into the wealthy valley, resorts, the Chalk Hotel. Pillars and Fairway, Spa, White Sulphur Springs, Airport, gay blank rich faces wishing to add history to ballrooms, tradition to the first tee. The simple mountains, sheer, dark graded with pine, in the sudden weather, wet outbreak of spring, cross-cut by snow, wind at the hill's shoulder. The land is fierce here, steep, braced against snow, rivers in spring, King Cole Hotel, lookout, and swinging the vicious bend, New River Gorge. Now the photographer unpacks camera and case, surveying the deep country, follows discovery, viewing on ground glass an inverted image. John Marshall named the rock, Steep Pines, a drop he reckoned in 1812 called Marshall's Pillar, but later, Hawk's Nest. Here is your road, tying you to its meanings, gorge, boulder, precipice. Telescope down, the hard and stone-green river, cutting fast and direct into the town. West Virginia. They saw rivers flow west and hoped again. Virginia, speeding to another sea. 1671, Thomas Batts, Robert Fallam, Thomas Wood, the Indian parakeet, and an unnamed indentured English servant followed the forest past blazed trees, pillars of God, where the first whites emergent from the east. They left a record to our heritage, breaking of records. Hope now for the sea. For all mountains have their descents about them, waters descending naturally, do always resort unto the seas, environing those lands. Yeah, at home amongst the mountains in England. Coming where this road comes, flat stones spilled water which the still pools fed, Kanawha Falls, the rapids of the mind, fast waters spilling west. Found Indian fields, standing low cornstalks left, learned three Mohicans planted them. Found land, farmland, the planted home discovered. War-born, the battle at Point Pleasant, Cornstalk's tribes, last stand, Fort Henry, a revolution won, the granite site of the precursor, execution, sabers, apostles of John Brown, leader of the war's brilliant cloudy raid at Harper's Ferry. Floods, heavy wind this spring, the beaten land, blown high by wind, fought wars, forming a state, a serf, frontier defines two fighting halves, 200 battles in the 4 years, troops. Here in Gauley Bridge, Union headquarters, lines bring in the military telegraph. Wires over the gash of gorge and height of pine. But it was always the water, the power flying deep. Green rivers cut the rock, rapids boiled down, a scene of power. Done by the dead, discovery learned it. And the living? Live country filling west, nodded the glassy rivers like valleys, opening minds, coming to life. Statement. Philippa Allen. You like the state of West Virginia very much, do you not? I do very much, in the summertime. How much time have you spent in West Virginia? During the summer of 1934, when I was doing social work down there, I first heard of what we were pleased to call the Gauley Tunny tragedy, which involved about 2,000 men. What was their salary? It started at 40 cents and dropped to 25 cents an hour. You have met these people personally? I have talked to people, yes. According to estimates of contractors, 2,000 men were employed there, period, about 2 years, drilling 3.75 miles of tunnel to divert water from New River to a hydroelectric plant at Gauley Junction. The rock through which they were boring was of a high silica content. In tunnel number 1, it ran 97 to 99% pure silica. The contractors, knowing pure silica, 30 years' experience, must have known danger for every man, neglected to provide the workmen with any safety device. As a matter of fact, they originally intended to dig that tunnel a certain size. Yes. And then enlarge the size of the tunnel due to the fact that they discovered silica and wanted to get it out. That is true for tunnel number 1. The tunnel is part of a huge water power project. Begun latter part of 1929, Direction, New Kanawha Power Company, subsidiary of Union Carbide and Carbon Company. That company, licensed to develop power for public sale. Ostensibly, it was to do that, but in reality, it was formed to sell all the power to the Electro-Metallurgical Company, subsidiary of Union Carbide and Carbon Company, which by an act of the state legislature was allowed to buy up New Kanawha Power Company in 1933. They were developing the power. What I am trying to get at, Miss Allen, is, did they use this silica from the tunnel? Did they afterwards sell it and use it in commerce? They used it in the electroprocessing of steel. Silicon dioxide, the richest deposit, shipped on the C&O down to alloy. It was so pure that, silicon dioxide, they used it without refining. Where did you stay? I stayed at Cedar Grove. Some days I would have to hitch into Charleston, other days to Gauley Bridge. You found the people of West Virginia very happy to pick you up on the highway, did you not? Yes, they are delightfully obliging. All were bewildered. Again, at Vinetta they are asking, what can be done about this? I feel that this investigation may help in some manner. I do hope it may. I am now making a very general statement as a beginning. There are many points that I should like to develop later, but I shall try to give you a general history of this condition first. Gauley Bridge. Camera at the crossing sees the city, a street of wooden walls and empty windows, the doors shut handless in the empty street, and the deserted Negro standing on the corner. The little boy runs with his dog up the street to the bridge over the river where 9 men are mending road for the government. He blurs the camera glass fixed on the street. Railway tracks here and many panes of glass tin under light, the gray shine of towns and forests in the commercial hotel, Switzerland of America. The owner is keeping his books behind the public glass. Post office window, a hive of private boxes, the hand of the man who withdraws, the woman who reaches her hand, and the tall, coughing man stamping an envelope. The bus station and the great pale buses stopping for food, April glass tinted, the yellow aproned waitress, coast to coast schedule on the plate glass window. The man on the street in the camera eye. He leaves the doctor's office, slammed down, doom. Any town looks like this one street town. Glass, wood, and naked eye. The movie house, closed for the afternoon, frames posters streaked with rain, advertise Racing Luck and Hitchhike Lady. Whistling, the train comes from a long way away, slow, and the Negro watches it grow in the gray air. The hotel man makes a note behind his potted palm. Eyes of the tourist house, red and white filling station, the eyes of the Negro, looking down the track, hotel man and hotel, cafeteria, camera. And in the beer place, on the other sidewalk, always one's harsh night eyes over the beer glass follow the waitress in the yellow apron. The road flows over the bridge, Gamoka pointer at the underpass, opposite, alloy, after a block of town. What do you want? A cliff over a city? A foreland slope to sea and overgrown with roses? These people live here. The Face of the Dam, Vivian Jones. On the hour he shuts the door and walks out of town, he knows the place up the gorge where he can see his locomotive rusting on the siding. He sits and sees the river at his knee. There, where the men crawl, landscaping the grounds at the power plant, he saw the blasts explode, the mouth of the tunnel that opened wider, when precious in the rock the white glass showed. The old plantation house, burned to the mud, is a hill acre of ground. The Negro woman throws gay arches of water out from the front door. It runs down, wild as grass, falls and flows. On the quarter, he remembers how they enlarged the tunnel and the crews, finding the silica, how the men came riding freights, got jobs here, and went into the tunnel mouth to stay. Never to be used, he thinks, never to spread its power. Jinx on the rock, curse on the power plant. Hundreds breathed value, filled their lungs full of glass. Oh, the gay wind, the clouds, the many men. On the half hour he's at Hawk's Nest over the dam, snow springs up as he reaches the great wall face. Immense and pouring power, the mist of snow, the fallen mist, the slope of water, glass. Oh, the gay snow, the white dropped water down. All day the water rushes down its river, unused, has done its death work in the country. Proud gorge and festive water. On the last quarter, he pulls his heavy collar up, feels in his pocket the picture of his girl, touches for luck. He used to as he drove after he left his engine, stamps in the deep snow. And the snow clears and the dam stands in the gay weather. Oh proud, oh white, oh water rolling down, he turns and stamps this off his mind again, and on the hour walks again through town. Praise of the committee. These are the lines on which a committee is formed. Almost as soon as work was begun in the tunnel, men began to die among dry drills. No masks. Most of them were not from this valley. The freights brought many every day from states, all up and down the Atlantic seaboard, and as far inland as Kentucky, Ohio. After the work, the camps were closed or burned. The ambulance was going day and night, White's undertaking business thriving, and his mother's cornfield put to a new use. Many of the shareholders at this meeting were nervous about the division of the profits. How much has the company spent on lawsuits? The man said $150,000. Special counsel: I am familiar with the case. Not $1 sent. Terms of the contract. Master liable. No reply. Great corporation disowning men who made. After the lawsuits had been instituted. The committee is a true reflection of the will of the people. Every man is ill. The women are not affected. This is not a contagious disease. A medical commission, Dr. Hughes, Dr. Hayhurst, examined the chest of Raymond Johnson and Dr. Harless, a former company doctor. But he saw too many die. He has written his letter to Washington. The committee meets regularly, whenever it can. Here are Mrs. Jones, 3 lost sons, husband sick, Mrs. Leake, cook for the bus cafeteria, the men, George Robinson, leader and voice, 4 other Negroes, 3 drills, 1 camp boy, Blankenship, the thin friendly man, Peyton, the engineer, Juanita absent, the one outsider member. Here in the noise, loud belts of the shoe repair shop, meeting around the stove beneath the one bulb hanging. They come late in the day. Many come with them, who pack the hall, wait in the thorough dark. This is a defense committee. Unfinished business. 2 rounds of lawsuits, 200 cases. Now, as to the crooked lawyers, if the men had worn masks, their use would have involved time every hour to wash the sponge at mouth. Tunnel, 3 1/8 miles long, much larger than the Holland Tunnel or Pittsburgh's Liberty Tubes. Total cost, say, $16 million. This is the procedure of such a committee. To consider the bill before the Senate, to discuss relief. Active members may be cut off relief. 16-mile walk to Fayetteville for check. West Virginia Relief Administration, number 22991. To Joe Hennigan, Gauley Bridge, 1 50/100. Winona National Bank, paid from state funds. Unless the Defense Committee acts, the People's Press, supporting this fight, signed editorials, sent in funds. Clothing for tunnel workers, rumored that in the post office, parcels are intercepted. Suspected, Conley, sheriff, hotel man, head of the town ring, company whispers, spies, the racket. Resolved. George Robinson holds all their strength together to fight the companies, to make somehow a future. At any rate, it is inadvisable to keep a community of dying persons intact. Senator Holt, yes, this is the most barbarous example of industrial construction that ever happened in the world. Please proceed. In a very general way, Hippocrates' Epidemics speaks of the metal digger who breathes with difficulty, having a pain and wan complexion. Pliny the Elder, present work of the Bureau of Mines. The dam's pure crystal slants upon the river, a dark and noisy room, frozen 2 feet from stove, the cough of habit, the sound of men in the hall, waiting for word. These men breathe hard, but the committee has a voice of steel. One climbs the hill on canes. They have broken the hills and cracked the riches wide. In this man's face, family leans out from 2 worlds of graves. Here is a room of eyes. A single force looks out, reading our life. Who stands over the river? Whose feet go running in these rigid hills? Who comes warning the night, shouting and young to waken our eyes? Who runs through electric wires? Who speaks down every road? Their hands touched mastery. Now they demand an answer. Mearl Blankenship. He stood against the stove, facing the fire. Little warmth, no words. loud machines. Voted relief, wished money mailed, quietly under the crashing. I wake up choking, and my wife rolls me over on my left side. Then I am asleep in the dream I always see, the tunnel choked, the dark wall coughing dust. I have written a letter. Send it to the city, maybe to a paper, if it's all right. Dear Sir, my name is Mearl Blankenship. I have worked for the Reinhardt and Dennis Company many days and many nights, and it was so dusty you couldn't hardly see the lights. I helped nip steel for the drills and helped lay the track in the tunnel and done lots of drilling near the mouth of the tunnel. And when the shots went off, the boss said, if you were going to work, venture back. And the boss was Mr. Andrews, and now he is dead and gone. But I am still here, a-lingering along. He stood against the rock, facing the river, gray face. The rock modeled behind him, like X-ray plate enlarged, diffuse and stony, his face against the stone. J.C. Dunbar said that I was the very picture of health when I went to work at that hotel. I have lost 18 pounds on that Reinhardt ground and expecting to lose my life. And no settlement yet, and I have sued the company twice. But when the lawyers got a settlement, they didn't want to talk to me, but I didn't know whether they were sleepy or not. I am a married man and have a family. God knows if they can do anything for me, it will be appreciated. If you can do anything for me, let me know soon. Absalom. I first discovered what was killing these men. I had 3 sons who worked with their father in the tunnel. Cecil, age 23, Owen, age 21, Shirley, age 17. They used to work in a coal mine, not steady work, for the mines were not going much of the time. A power company foreman learned that we made homebrew. He formed a habit of dropping in evenings to drink, persuading the boys and my husband give up their jobs and take this other work. It would pay them better. Shirley was my youngest son, the boy. He went into the tunnel. My heart, my mother, my heart, my mother, my heart, my coming into being. My husband is not able to work. He has it, according to the doctor. We have been having a very hard time making a living since this trouble came to us. I saw the dust in the bottom of the tub. The boy worked there about 18 months. Came home one evening with a shortness of breath. He said, "Mother, I cannot get my breath." Shirley was sick about 3 months. I would carry him from his bed to the table, from his bed to the porch, in my arms. My heart is mine in the place of hearts. They gave me back my heart. It lies in me. When they took sick, right at the start, I saw a doctor. I tried to get Dr. Harless to x-ray the boys. This was the only man I had any confidence in, the company doctor in the copper's mine, but he would not see Shirley. He did not know where his money was coming from. I promised him half if he had worked to get compensation, but even then he would not do anything. I went on the road and begged the x-ray money. The Charleston Hospital made the lung pictures. He took the case after the pictures were made, and 2 or 3 doctors said the same thing. The youngest boy did not get to go down there with me. He lay and said, "Mother, when I die, I want you to have them open me up and see if that dust killed me. Try to get compensation. You will not have any way of making your living when we are gone, and the rest are going too." I have gained mastery over my heart. I have gained mastery over my 2 hands. I have gained mastery over the waters. I have gained mastery over the river. The case of my son was the first of the line of lawsuits. They sent the lawyers down and the doctors down. They closed the electric sockets in the camps. There was Shirley and Cecil, Jeffrey and Orrin, Raymond Johnson, Clev and Oscar Anders, Frank Lynch, Henry Paff, Mr. Pitch, a foreman, a slim fellow who carried steel with my boys. His name was Darnell, I believe. There were many others, the towns of Glen Ferris, Alloy, where the White Rock lies, 6 miles away, Veneta, Gauley Bridge, Gamoka, Lockwood, the gullies. The whole valley is witness. I hitchhike 18 miles, they make checks out. They asked me how I keep the cow on $2. I said 1 week, feed for the cow. 1 week, the children's flour. The oldest son was 23. The next son was 21. The youngest son was 18. They called it pneumonia at first. They would pronounce it fever. Shirley asked that we try to find out. That's how they learned what the trouble was. I open out a way, they have covered my sky with crystal. I come forth by day, I am born a second time. I force a way through, and I know the gate. I shall journey over the earth among the living. He shall not be diminished, never. I shall give a mouth to my son. The disease. This is a lung disease. Silicate dust makes it. The dust causing the growth of... This is the X-ray picture taken last April. I would point out to you, these are the ribs. This is the region of the breastbone. This is the heart, a wide white shadow filled with blood. And here, of course, is the swallowing tube, esophagus, the windpipe, spaces between the lungs, between the ribs. These are the collarbones. Now this lung's mottled, beginning in these areas. You'd say a snowstorm had struck the fellow's lungs. About alike, that side and this side, top and bottom, the first stage in this period, in this case. Let us have the second. Come to the window again. Here is the heart. More numerous nodules, thicker, see, in the upper lobes. You will notice the increase. Here, streaked fibrous tissue. Indicating? That indicates the progress in 10 months' time. And now, this year, short breathing, solid scars, even over the ribs, thick on both sides. Blood vessels shut. Model conglomeration. What stage? 3rd stage. Each time I place my pencil point there and there and there, there. It is growing worse every day. At night, I get up to catch my breath. If I remain flat on my back, I believe I would die. It gradually chokes off the air cells in the lungs. I'm trying to say it the best I can. That is what happens, isn't it? A choking off in the air cells? Yes. There is difficulty in breathing. Yes. And a painful cough. Yes. Does silicosis cause death? Yes, sir. George Robinson, Blues. Gauley Bridge is a good town for Negroes. They let us stand around. They let us stand around on the sidewalks if we're black or brown. Veneta's over the trestle, and that's our town. The hill makes breathing slow. Slow breathing after you row the river. And the graveyard's on the hill, cold in a springtime blow. The graveyard's up on high, and the town is down below. Did you ever bury 35 men in a place in back of your house? 35 tunnel workers the doctors didn't attend, died in the tunnel camps, under rocks, everywhere, world without end. When a man said I feel poorly, for any reason, any weakness or such, letting up when he couldn't keep going barely, the cap and company come and run him off the job, surely. I've put them down from the tunnel camps to the graveyard on the hill, tin cans all about. It fixed them. Tunnelitis. Hold themselves up at the side of a river. I can go right now to that cemetery. When the blast went off, the boss would call out, "Come, let's go back." When that heavy loaded blast went white, "Come, let's go back," telling us hurry, hurry into the falling rocks and muck. The water they would bring had dust in it, our drinking water. The camps and their groves were colored with the dust. We cleaned our clothes in the groves, but we always had the dust. Looked like somebody sprinkled flour all over the parks and groves. It stayed, and the rain couldn't wash it away, and it twinkled. That white dust really looked pretty down around our ankles. As dark as I am, when I came out at morning after the tunnel at night, with a white man, nobody could have told which man was white. The dust had covered us both, and the dust was white. Juanita Tinsley. Even after the letters, there is work. Sweaters, the food, the shoes, and afternoon's quick dark. Draws on the window pane, my face, the shadowed hair, the scattered papers fade. Slow letters, I shall be, always, the stranger said, to live stronger and free. I know in America there are songs, forgetful ballads to be sung, but at home I see this wrong. When I see my family house, the gay gorge, the picture books, they raise the face of General Wise, aged by enemies like faces the strangers showed me in the town. I saw that plain and saw my place, the scene of hopes ahead. Look, April, and next month with a softer wind, and then maybe the happy song, and love, a tall boy who was never in a tunnel. The doctors. Tell the jury your name. Emery R. Hayhurst. State your education, doctor, if you will. Don't be modest about it. Just tell about it. High school, Chicago, 1899. University of Illinois, 1903. M.A., 1905, thesis on respiration. P.N.S., Chicago, 1908. 2 years hospital training at Rush on occupational disease. Director of clinic, 2.5 years. Ph.D., Chicago, 1916. Ohio Department of Health, 20 years as consultant in occupational diseases. Hygienist, U.S. Public Health Service, and Bureau of Mines, and Bureau of Standards. Danger begins at 25%. Here was pure danger. Department of Mines came in, was kept away. Miner's phthisis, fibroid phthisis, grinder's rot, potter's rot, whatever it used to be called, these men did not need to die. Is silicosis an occupational disease? It is. Did anyone show you the lungs of Cecil Jones? Yes, sir. Who was that? It was Dr. Harless. We talked to Dr. L.R. Harless, who had handled many of the cases, more than any other doctor there. At first, Dr. Harless did not like to talk about the matter. He said he had been subjected to so much publicity. It appeared that the doctor thought he had been involved in too many of the court cases, but finally he opened up and told us about the matter. Did he impress you as one who thought this was a very serious thing in that section of the country? Yes, he did. I would say that Dr. Harless has probably become very self-conscious about this matter. I cannot say that he has retracted what he told me, but possibly he had been thrust into the limelight so much that he is more conservative now than when the matter was simply something of local interest. Dear Sir, due to illness of my wife and urgent professional duties, I am unable to appear as per your telegram. Situation exaggerated. Here are facts. We examined 13 dead, 139 had some lung disease. 2 have died since, making 15 deaths. Press says 476 dead, 2,000 affected and doomed. I am at a loss to know where those figures were obtained. At this time, only a few cases here, and these only moderately affected. Last death occurred November 1934. It has been said that none of the men knew of the hazard connected with the work. This is not correct. Shortly after the work began, many of these workers came to me complaining of chest conditions, and I warned many of them of the dust hazard and advised them that continued work under these conditions would result in serious lung disease. Disregarding this warning, many of the men continued at this work and later brought suit against their employer for damages. While I am sure that many of these suits were based on meritorious grounds, I am also convinced that many others took advantage of this situation and made out of it nothing less than a racket. In this letter, I have endeavored to give you the facts which came under my observation. If I can supply further information. Mr. Marcantonio, a man may be examined a year after he has worked in a tunnel and not show a sign of silicosis, and yet the silicosis may develop later. Is not that true? Yes, it may develop as many as 10 years after. Mr. Marcantonio, even basing the statement on the figures, the doctor's claim that this is a racket is not justified? No, it would not seem to be justified. Mr. Marcantonio, I should like to point out that Dr. Harless contradicts his exaggeration when he volunteers the following. I warned many. Mr. Peyton, I do not know. Nobody knew the danger around there. Dr. Goldwater, first are the factors involving the individual. Under the heading B, external causes. Some of the factors which I have in mind, those are the facts upon the blackboard, the influencing and controlling factors. Mr. Marcantonio, those factors would bring about acute silicosis? Dr. Goldwater, I hope you are not provoked when I say might. Medicine has no 100%. We speak of possibilities, have opinions. Mr. Griswold, doctors testify answering yes and no, don't they? Dr. Goldwater, not by the choice of the doctor. Mr. Griswold, but that is usual, isn't it? Dr. Goldwater, they do not like to do that. A man with a scientific point of view, unfortunately there are doctors without that. I do not mean to say all doctors are angels, but most doctors avoid dogmatic statements, avoid assiduously, always, never. Mr. Griswold, best doctor I ever knew said no and yes. Dr. Goldwater, there are different opinions on that too. We were talking about acute silicosis. The man in the white coat is the man on the hill. The man with the clean hands is the man with the drill. The man who answers yes lies still. Did you make an examination of those sets of lungs? I did. I wish you would tell the jury whether or not those lungs were silicotic. We object. Objection overruled. They were. The Cornfield. Error, disease, snow, sudden weather. For those given to contemplation, this house, waiting in snow, its cracks are sealed with clay, walls papered with print, newsprint repeating, in focus, gray across the room, and squared ads for a book. Heaven's my destination. Heaven's my heaven. Thornton Wilder. The long-faced man rises, long-handed jams the door. Tight against snow, long-boned, he shivers. Contemplate. Swear by the corn, the Foundland corn, those who like ritual. He rides in a good car. They say blind corpses rode. with him in front, knees broken into angles, head clamped ahead, overalls, affidavits. He signs all papers. His office, where he sits, feet on the stove, loaded trestles through door, satin-lined, silk-lined, unlined, cheap. The papers in the drawer. On the desk, photograph, H.C. White, funeral services, new car and eldest son. Tells about Negroes who got wet at work, shot craps, drank and took cold, pneumonia, died. Shows the sworn papers. Swear by the corn, pneumonia, pleurisy, TB. For those given to voyages, these roads. Discover gullies, invade. Where does it go now? Now turn upstream 25 yards. Now road again. Ask the man on the road, saying, that cornfield? Over the second hill, through the gate, watch for the dogs, buried, 5 at a time. Pine boxes. Reinhardt and Dennis paid him $55 a head for burying these men in plain pine boxes. His mother is suing him. Misuse of land. George Robinson. I knew a man who died at 4 a.m. at the camp. At 7, his wife took clothes to dress her dead husband, and at the undertaker's, they told her the husband was already buried. Tell me this, the men with whom you are acquainted, the men who have this disease, have been told that sooner or later they are going to die? Yes, sir. How does that seem to affect the majority of the people? It don't work on anything but their wind. Do they seem to be living in fear, or do they wish to die? They are getting to breathe a little faster. For those given to keeping their own garden, here is the cornfield, white and wired by thorns, old cornstalks, snow, the planted home, stands bare against a line of farther field, unmarked except for wood stakes charred at tip, few scratches and named, pencil or nail, washed off, under the mounds, all the anonymous. Able America, calling from under the corn, earth, uncover my blood. Did the undertaker know the man was married? Uncover. Do they seem to fear death? Contemplate. Does Mellon's ghost walk, povertied at last, walking in furrows of corn, still sowing? Do apparitions come? Voyage. Think of your gardens, but here is corn to keep, marked pointed sticks to name the crop beneath. Sowing is over, harvest is coming ripe. No, sir, they want to go on. They want to live as long as they can. Arthur Peyton. Consumed, eaten away, and love across the street. I had a letter in the mail this morning. Dear Sir, pleasure, enclosing herewith our check, payable to you for $21.59, being 1/2 of the residue which we were able to collect in your behalf in regard to the above case. In winding up the various suits, after collecting all we could, we find this balance due you. With regards, we are, very truly, after collecting the dust, the failure, the engineering core, oh love, consumed, eaten away, the foreman laughed. They wet the drills when the inspectors came. The moon blows glassy over our native river. Oh love, tell the committee that I know. Never repeat you mean to marry me. In mines, the fans are large, 2,000 men unmasked. Before his verdict, the doctor asked me, how long? I said, Dr. Harless, tell me how long. Only never again tell me you'll marry me. I watch how at the tables you all day follow a line of clouds, the dance of drills. In love, the sky birds who crown the trees, the white hills standing upon alloy, I charge negligence. all companies concerned. 2 years, oh love, 2 years, he said he gave. The swirl of river at the tidy house, the marble bank face of the liquor store. I saw the Negroes driven with pick handles. On these other jobs, I was not in tunnel work. Between us, love. The buses at the door, the long glass street. 2 years, my death to yours, my face upon your lips, my face becoming glass, strong challenge time, making me win immortal, the love of a mirror of our valley, our street, our river, a deadly glass to hold. Now they are feeding me into a steel mill furnace. Oh, love, the stream of glass, a stream of living fire. Alloy. This is the most audacious landscape. The gangster's stance with his gun smoking, and out is not so vicious as this commercial field, its hill of glass. Sloping as gracefully as thighs, the foothills, narrow to this, clouds over every town, finally indicate the stored destruction. Crystalline hill, a blinded field of white, murdering snow, seamed by convergent tracks. The traveling cranes reach for the silica. And down the track, the overhead conveyor slides on its cable to the feet of chimneys. Smoke rises, not white enough, not so barbaric. Here the severe flame speaks from the brick throat. Electric furnaces produce this precious, this clean, annealing the crystals, fusing at last alloys. Hottest for silicon, blast furnaces raise flames, spill fire, spill steel, quench the new shape to freeze, tempering it to perfected metal. Forced through this crucible, 1,000,000 men. Above this pasture, the highway passes those who curse the air, breathing their fear again. The roaring flowers of the chimney stacks, less poison at their lips in fire than this dust that is blown from off the field of glass. Blows and will blow, rising over the mills, crystallized and beyond the fierce corrosion, disintegrated angel on these hills. Power. The quick sun brings exciting mountains warm, gay on the landscapers and green designs. Miracle, yielding the sex up under all the skin until the entire body watches the scene with love, sees perfect cliffs ranging until the river, cut sheer, mapped far below in delicate track, surprise of grace, the water running in the sun, magnificent flower on the mouth, surprise as lovers who look too long on the desired face startle to find the remote flesh so warm. A day of heat shed on the gorge, a brilliant day when love sees the sun behind its man and the disguised marvel under familiar skin. Steel bright, light pointed, the narrow-waisted towers lift their protective network, the straight, the accurate, flex of distinction, economy of gift, gymnast, they poise their freight, God's generosity, give their voltage low enough for talons to handle. The powerhouse stands skin white at the transmitter's side, over the rapids, the brilliance, the blind foam. This is the midway between water and flame. This is the road to take when you think of your country, between the dam and the furnace, terminal, the clean park, fan of wires, landscapers, the stone approach, and seen beyond the door, the man with the flashlight in his metal hall. Here the effective green, gray-toned and shining, tall, immense chambers of cylinders. Green, the rich paint catches light from 3-story windows. Arches of light vibrate erratic panels on sides of curved steel. Men pockets flashlight. Useless. The brilliant floor casts tiled reflection up. Bland walls return it. Circles pass it round. Wheels, control panels, dials, the vassal instruments. This is the engineer Jones, the blueprint man. loving the place he designed, visiting it alone. Another blood, no cousin to the town, rings his heels on stone, pride follows his eyes. This is the place. 4 generators, smooth green and squares of black, floored over space for a 5th. The stairs. Descend. They said I built the floor like the tiles of a bank. I wanted the men who work here to be happy. Light laughing on steel, the gay, the tall sun given away. Mottled, snow comes in clouds, the iron steps go down as roads go down. This is the second circle, world of inner shade, hidden bulk of generators, governor shaft, round gap of turbine pit, flashlight, tool panels, heels beating on iron, cold of underground, stairs, wire flooring, the voice's hollow cry. This is the scroll, the volute case of night, quick shadow, and the empty galleries. Go down. Here are the outlets, butterfly valves, open from here, the tall race, vault of steel, the spiral staircase ending, last light in shaft. Gone, says the thin, straight man. Hail, holy light, offspring of heaven firstborn, or the eternal co-eternal beam, may I express thee unblamed? And still go down. Now ladder mouth and the precipitous fear. Uncertain rungs down into afternight. This is the place. Away from this my life, I am indeed Adam unparadised. Some fools call this the black hole of Calcutta. I don't know how they ever get to Congress. Gulfs, spirals that the drunken ladder swings, its rungs give, pliant, beneath the leaping heart, leaps twice at midnight, but a naked bulb makes glare, turns paler, burns to dark again. Brilliance begins, stutters, and comes upon after the tall abstract, the ill, the unmasked men, the independent figure of the welder, masked for his work, acts with unbearable flame. His face is a cage of steel, the hands are covered. Points dazzle hot, fly from his writing torch, brightens the face and hands marrying steel, says little, works, only. A little down, 5 men were killed in the widening of the tunnel. Shell of bent metal, walking along an arc, the tube rounds up about your shoulders, black circle, great circle, down infinite mountains rides, echoes, words, footsteps, testimonies. One said the air was thin, 5th Avenue clean. The iron pillars mark a valve division, 4 tunnels merging, iron on iron resounds, echoes along created gorges. Sing, test echoes, sing. Pilgrim, he cries, singing once more, dear home, as all the light burns out. Down the reverberate channels of the hills, the suns declare midnight. Go down, cannot ascend, no ladder back. See this, your eyes can ride through steel. This is the river death, diversion of power, the root of the tower and the tunnel's core. This is the end. The dam. All power is saved, having no end. Rises in the green season, in the sudden season, the white that budded, and the lost. Water celebrates, yielding continually, sheeted and fast in its overfall, slips down the rock, evades the pillars, building its colonnades, repairs in stream and standing wave, retains its seaward green, broken by obstacle rock. Falling, the water sheet spouts, and the mind dances, excess of white. White brilliant function of the land's disease. Many-spanned, lighted, the crest leans under concrete arches in the channeled hills, turns in the gorge toward its release, kinetic and controlled. The sluice urging the hollow, the thunder, the major climax. Energy, total and open watercourse, praising the spillway, fiery glaze, crackle of light, cleanest velocity, flooding the molded force. I open out a way over the water. I form a path between the combatants. Grant that I sail down like a living bird, power over the fields and pull of fire. Phoenix, I sail over the phoenix world. Diverted water, the fern and fuming white, ascend in mist of continuous diffusion. Rivers are turning inside their mountains. Streams line the stone, rest at the overflow. Lake and in lanes of pliant color lie. Blessing of this innumerable silver, printed in silver, images of stone, walk on a screen of falling water, in film silver, in continual change, recurring colored, plunging with the wave. Constellations of light, abundance of many rivers, the sheeted island cities, the white surf filling west, the hope, fast waters spilled where still pools fed, great power flying deep between the rock and the sunset, the caretaker's house and the steep abutment, hypnotic water fallen in the tunnels under, the moist and fragile galleries of stone, mile long under the waves. Whether snow fall, the quick light fall, years of white cities fall, flood that this valley built falls, slipping down the green turn in the river's green. Steep gorge, the wedge of crystal in the sky. How many feet of whirlpools? What is a year in terms of falling water? Cylinders, kilowatts, capacities. Continuity. Sigma Q equals 0. Equations for falling water. The streaming motion. The balance sheet of energy that flows, passing along its infinite barrier. It breaks the hills, cracking the riches wide, runs through electric wires. It comes, warning the night. Running among these rigid hills, a single force to waken our eyes. They poured the concrete and the columns stood, laid bare the bedrock, set the cells of steel. A dam for monument was what they hammered home, blasted, and stocks went up, ensured the base, and limousines wrote their own graphs upon roadbed and lifeline. Their hands touched mastery. Wait for defense, solid across the world. Mr. Griswold. A corporation is a body without a soul. Mr. Dunn. When they were caught at it, they resorted to the methods employed by gunmen, ordinary machine gun racketeers. They cowardly tried to buy out the people who had the information on them. Mr. Marcantonio. I agree that a racket has been practiced, but the most damnable racketeering that I have ever known is the paying of a fee to the very attorney who represented these victims. That is the most outrageous racket that has ever come within my knowledge. Miss Allen. Mr. Jesse J. Ricks, the president of the Union Carbide and Carbon Corporation, suggested that the stockholder had better take this question up in a private conference. The dam is safe, a scene of power. The dam is the father of the tunnel. This is the valley's work. The white, the shining. Stocks and dividends in dollars. Union Carbide, 3.20. High of 111, low of 61 and a quarter. Opened at 67 and a quarter, high of 69 and a half, low of 67 and a quarter, last 69 and a half. Net change plus 3. Closing bid 69 and a quarter. Closing ask 69 and a half. Sales 3,400. The dam is used when the tunnel is used. The men in the water are never idle. Have definitions. This is a perfect fluid, having no age nor hours, surviving scarless, unaltered, loving rest, willing to run forever to find its peace, in equal seas and currents of still glass. Effects of friction, to fight and pass again, learning its power, conquering boundaries, able to rise blind in revolts of tide, broken and sacrificed to flow resumed, collecting eternally power, spender of power, torn, never can be killed, speeded in filaments, million, its power can rest and rise forever, wait and be flexible, be born again. Nothing is lost, even among the wars. Imperfect flow, confusion of force, it will rise. These are the phases of its face. It knows its seasons, the waiting, the sudden. It changes. It does not die. The disease, after effects. This is the life of a congressman. Now he is standing on the floor of the House. The gallery is full, raises his voice, presents the bill. Legislative, the fanfare, greeting its heroes with ringing of telephone bells preceding entrances, snapshots, grins raise, recording structure, newsreels. This is silent, and he proposes embargo on munitions to Germany and Italy as states at war with Spain. He proposes Congress memorialize the governor of California, free Tom Mooney, a bill for a TVA at Port Peck Dam, a bill to prevent industrial silicosis. This is the gentleman from Montana. I'm a child. I'm leaning from a bedroom window, clipping the rose that climbs upon the wall, the tea roses and the red roses, one for a wound, another for disease, remembrance for strikers. I was 5, going on 6, my father on strike at the Anaconda mine. They broke the socialist mayor we had in Butte. The sheriff, friendly, found their judge. Strike broke. Shot father. He died. Wounds and his disease. My father had silicosis. Copper contains it. We find it in limestone, sand quarries, sandstone, potteries, foundries, granite, abrasives, blasting, many kinds of grinding, plate, mining, and glass. Widespread in trade, widespread in space. Butte, Montana, Joplin, Missouri, the New York tunnels, the Catskill Aqueduct, in over 30 states, a disease worse than consumption. Only 11 states have laws. There are today 1 million potential victims. 500,000 Americans have silicosis now. These are the proportions of a war. Pictures rise, foreign parades, the living faces, Asturian miners with my father's face, wounded and fighting, the men at Gauley Bridge, my father's face enlarged, since now our house, and all our meaning lies in this signature. Power on a hill, centered in its committee and its armies, sources of anger, the mine of emphasis. No plane can ever lift us high enough to see forgetful countries underneath, but always now the map and x-rays seem resemblant pictures of one living breath, one country marked by error, and one air. It sets up a gradual scar formation. This increases, blocking all drainage from the lung, eventually scars, blocking the blood supply, and then they block the air passageways. Shortness of breath, pains around the chest, he notices lack of vigor. Bill blocked, investigation blocked. These galleries produce their generations. The congressmen are restless, stare at the triple tier, the flags, the ranks, the walnut foliage wall, a row of empty seats, mask over a dead voice. But over the country, 1 million look from work. 500,000 stand. the bill. The subcommittee submits. Your committee held hearings, heard many witnesses, finds that the Hawk's Nest Tunnel was constructed, Dennis and Reinhardt, Charlottesville, Virginia, for New Kanawha Power Company, subsidiary of Union Carbide and Carbon Company. That a tunnel was drilled, approximate distance 3.75 miles, to divert water from New River to hydroelectric plant, Gauley Junction. That in most of the tunnel, drilled rock contained 90, even 99% pure silica. This is a fact that was known. That silica is dangerous to lungs of human beings, when submitted to contact, silicosis. That the effects are well known, disease incurable, physical incapacity, cases fatal. That the Bureau of Mines has warned for 20 years. That prevention is wet drilling, ventilation, respirators, vacuum drills. Disregard, utter. Dust, collected. Visibility, low. Workmen left work white with dust. Air system, inadequate. It was quite cloudy in there. When the drills were going and all the smoke and dust, it seemed like a gang of airplanes going through that tunnel. Respirators, not furnished. I have seen men with masks, but simply on their breasts. I have seen two wear them. Drills, dry drilling, for speed, for saving. A fellow could drill 3 holes dry for 1 hole wet. They went so fast they didn't square at the top. Locomotives, gasoline, suffering from monoxide gas. There have been men that fell in the tunnel. They had to be carried out. The driving of the tunnel. It was begun, continued, completed with gravest disregard. And the employees, their healths, lives, future, results, and infection. Many died. Many are not yet dead. Of negligence, willful or inexcusable. Further findings, prevalence. Many states mine tunnel operations. A greatest menace. We suggest hearings be read. This is the dark, lights strung up all the way, depression and driven deeper in by hunger, pistols, and despair. They took the tunnel. Of the contracting firm, P.H. Faulkner, president, E.J. Perkins, vice president, have declined to appear. They have no knowledge of deaths from silicosis. However, their firm paid claims. I want to point out that under the statute, $500 or $1,000, but no more, may be recovered. We recommend, bring them, their books and records, investigate, require, can do no more. These citizens from many states paying the price for electric power to be vindicated. If by their suffering and death they will have made a future life safer for work beneath the earth, if they will have been able to establish a new and greater regard for human life and industry, their suffering may not have been in vain. Respectfully, Glenn Griswold, Chairman Subcommittee, Vito Marcantonio, W.P. Lambertson, Matthew A. Dunn. The subcommittee subcommits. Words on a monument. Capitoline thunder. It cannot be enough. The origin of storms is not in clouds. Our lightning strikes when the earth rises. Spillways free authentic power. Dead John Brown's body walking from a tunnel to break the armored and concluded mind. The Book of the Dead. These roads will take you into your own country. Seasons and maps coming where this road comes, into a landscape mirrored in these men. Past all your influences, your home river, constellations of cities, mottos of childhood, parents and easy cures, war, all evasion's wishes. What one word must never be said? Dead, and these men fight off our dying, cough in the theaters of the war. What 2 things shall never be seen? They, what we did. Enemy, what we mean. This is a nation seen in halfway house. What three things can never be done? Forget, keep silent, stand alone. The hills of glass, the fatal brilliant plain. The facts of war forced into actual grace, seasons in modern glory, told in the histories how first ships came, seen on the Atlantic 13 clouds lining the west horizon with their white shining halations. They conquered, throwing off impossible Europe, could not be used to transform, created coast, breathed in America. See how they took the land, made after life, fresh out of exile, planted the pioneer base and blockade, pushed forests down in an implacable walk west where new clouds lay at the desirable body of sunset, taking the seaboard, replaced the isolation, dropped cities where they stood, drew a tidewater frontier of Europe. A moment and another frontier held. This land was planted homeland that we know, ridge of discovery. Until we walked to windows, seeing America lie in a photograph of power widened before our forehead. And still, behind us falls another glory, London unshaken, the long French road to Spain, the old Mediterranean, flashing new signals from the hero hills near Barcelona, monuments and powers, parent defenses. Before our face, the broad and concrete west, green ripened field, frontier pushed back like river controlled and dammed, the flashing wheat fields, cities, lunar plains, gray in Nevada, the sane fantastic country, sharp in the south. Live oak, the hanging moss, a world of desert, the dead, the lava, and the extreme arisen fountains of life. The flourished land, peopled with watercourses, to California and the colored sea, sums of frontiers, and unmade boundaries of acts and poems, the brilliant scene between the seas, and standing this fact and this disease. Half memories absorb us, and our ritual world carries its history in familiar eyes. Planted in flesh, it signifies its music. In minds which turn to sleep in memory. In music, knowing all the shimmering names, the spear, the castle, and the rose. But planted in our flesh, these valleys stand. Everywhere we begin to know the illness, are forced up, and our times confirm us all. In the museum life, centuries of ambition yielded at last a fertilizing image. The Carthaginian stone, meaning a tall woman, carries in her two hands the book and cradled dove. On her two thighs, wings folded from the waist, crossed to her feet, a pointed human crown. This valley is given to us like a glory, to friends in the old world, and their lifting hands that call for intercession, blow falling full in face. All those whose childhood made learned skill to meet, and art to see after the change of heart. All the belligerents who know the world. You standing over gorges, surveyors and planners. You workers in hope of countries, first among powers. You who give peace in bodily repose. Opening landscapes by grace, giving the marvel lowlands, physical peace, flooding old battlefields with general brilliance, who best love your lives. And you young, you who finishing the poem, wish new perfection and begin to make, you men of fact, measure our times again. These are our strength, who strike against history, those whose corrupt cells owe their new styles of weakness to our diseases, these carrying light for safety on their foreheads, descended deeper for richer faults of ore, drilling their death. These touching radium and the luminous poison, carry their death on their lips and with their warning glow in their graves. These weave and their eyes water and rust away. These stand at wheels until their brains corrode. These farm and starve. All these men cry their doom across the world, meeting avoidable death, fight against madness, find every war, are known as strikers, soldiers, pioneers, fight on all new frontiers, are set in solid lines of defense. Defense is sight. Widen the lens and see, standing over the land, myths of identity, new signals, processes. Alloys begin, certain dominant metals. Deliberate combines add new qualities, sums of new uses. Over the country, from islands of Maine fading, Cape Sable fading south into the orange detail of sunset. New processes, new signals, new possession. A name for all the conquests, prediction of victory deep in these powers. Carry abroad the urgent need, the scene, to photograph and to extend the voice, to speak this meaning. Voices to speak to us directly as we move, as we enrich, growing in larger motion, this word, this power. Down coasts of taken countries, mastery, discovery at one hand, and at the other, frontiers and forests. Fanatic, cruel legend at our back, and speeding ahead the red and open west, and this, our region. Desire, field, beginning, name and road, communication to these many men, as epilogue, seeds of unending love.